is having a better morning than our own Dylan Kendrick. It's Friday, and he's on a boat seeing the sunrise from Lake Mead.
The only person having just as good of a morning is the environmental engineer Dylan is with, who's out there testing the water. What's going on out there, Dylan? Looks like a lot's going on out there.
All right, yeah, people are starting to wake up. The boats are starting to leave the dock this morning. But I think a lot of us, especially those who spend any long amount of time in Las Vegas, always talk about the lowering lake levels. So who better to ask an environmental engineer about just that? Talk about the levels and what it's been doing over the last, couple of decades.
Well, since the Southwest has been in drought conditions for, a couple decades now, and anyone who lives out here, as you say, can see the bathtub ring that indicates where the level of the lake used to be and where it is now. And about 30 years ago, it was much higher and was actually threatening to overfill the spillways on the dam.
Wow. Well, it's been a while since we've heard anything like that. Now let's talk about the process of getting this water from the lake into people's showers, faucets, all that good stuff inside of their homes.
Sure. There's a large intake in the lake, and it's really no more complicated than just pumping it out and having it treated and then delivering it throughout the valley.
And of course, there's that water filtration process as well, right?
Correct. That water's treated. This water is in pretty good shape, but it's not necessarily drinking quality at the moment.
All right. So let's go ahead and just tell our viewers, you got a few things in your hands. This is part of a little experiment that we're hanging out with you on. Go ahead and explain it.
Well, I've got a little baler here. This is just a little environmental sampling tool. You would just go and drop it in the lake. It will fill up with water. I would put it in a sampling container and send it off to a laboratory. If we were doing actual testing, we would have some idea of what we wanted to test that for or not.
Okay.
But basically a general evaluation of the water quality.
All right. And so just the overall recap, the state of Lake Mead, what do you see the future of this lake? Are we going to be able to sustain the Las Vegas Valley for years to come?
Well, that's the question, right? As a concept, yes. I think the Southern Nevada Water Authority has done a pretty good job of providing water for the city, and we're certainly not in an emergency situation, but as always, conservation is a concern, and actually the residents of Las Vegas have done a pretty good job doing conservation.
Last thing, talk to those residents, let them know what's not to go down those storm drains, because it ends up back into this lake and it ends up having to go through that filtration system all over again.
Right, there's storm drains throughout the Las Vegas Valley, and they usually recently have stickers on them or indicating that goes directly to the lake, so it's important not to put chemicals down those storm drains.
All right, listen up guys, don't do your oil changes in your driveways. Go to a mechanic, get it done the right way, and just be cognizant of how much water you're using. We're about to get into those summer months where it gets bone dry out there. We're tired of looking at this bathtub ring around the lake. We want to see these water levels go up. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right.
That's for sure. All right. Thanks, Dylan.
You.